Most people think of walleyes in mid-July as being a deep water deal, but it's not always that way. There's fish that actually spend their whole summer in the weeds. And while most people get a little bit intimidated about how to catch those fish, they're really not that complicated. I'm gonna show you how to catch them this week on the water. You know, it's really not that complicated to fish in weeds because for the most part, fish will come flying out of the weeds to hit your presentation. So what I'm doing today is I'm actually fishing right over the top of them. And when you look at the screen, what you're gonna see is I'm in clumps of weeds that come up anywhere from 5 to 6 feet of water. Now this fish actually got himself down in those weeds, so I'm gonna have to slow the boat down and see if we can get him out of here. And this will happen. This is the one thing you gotta pay attention to is fish gets down in those clumps of weeds, there, see, he came out right there. But if I wouldn't have stopped the boat, I might have broke him off. These fish that are in these weeds, they're so aggressive because when they come flying out like this guy did, they're coming out full throttle. And he came roaring out of there. Look at that, that's a beautiful walleye. I'm gonna stop the boat here, and we're gonna get him in. And then I wanna show you exactly how I'm catching these fish. And you can see he's even still got some of those weeds tangled up on him. Look at that. That's a great way to start the day right there. But you know, you can't get so intimidated by what you're fishing in because realistically you can see this fish lives in the weeds that you see on him. That's where he can ambush bait. And he'll come flying out and hit just like this fish did. But what you want to do is just pull right over the tops of those weeds. If you can do that, you'll catch fish pretty consistently. And what's really great about this presentation is it'll work all day long. I'm out here in the morning, but we're going to catch fish throughout the whole day because there's cover down there. So these fish are more than willing to stay shallow, live in those weeds, come ripping out to hit something and go right back down just like this guy did. And you saw what he did. I mean, he grabbed it, I got the hook set on him and he tried to get right back down burrowed in the weeds because that's where he spends the majority of his time. Don't be afraid to come in these weeds, pull spinners right up over the top of them. I'm running a 1/4 ounce weight. It's really simple. I'm going about 1.5 miles an hour. There's the result right there. It's a dynamite walleye. Locations for where we're fishing this, they're available all over the Midwest. Now, I'm in central Minnesota today and there are all kinds of lakes in the area where I'm at that have weed lines. And you know, it is available pretty much anywhere. The whole key is finding weed lines and then getting right on the edge of them. And when I say on the edge, what I mean is, I'll show you on the graph here after we get this fish in, but I'm actually looking for spots where I can set the boat and see weeds on the bottom. I've got to see the weeds on the bottom and I'm pulling these spinners right over the top of those weeds. If I don't have weeds on the bottom, then I'm too far out to the side. If you get too far out to the side of the weeds, it may be easier to fish, but the fish aren't out there, okay? So it's really important to put yourself in the right spot. And it's really not that complicated to find. And like I said, I'll show you here in a second. And the other thing is, and you hear me say this week after week, no matter what species I'm fishing, finding areas where there's deep water nearby is key. And that's because these fish can be up in the weeds feeding, but if there's a storm, they can just run right back down into that deeper water because that's where they feel safe. So that's one of the biggest keys is finding a weed line where you actually have weeds that come up about halfway, fish that area, but boy, if you got deep water nearby, you got a gold mine. And there's walleyes like this one piled up all along this stretch right now because everything they need is right here. Got him. The equipment I'm using is it's really simple. I mean, most everybody's already got this stuff. All I'm using is my Lindy rig rod and a spinning rod, and you know, or a spinning reel. And a lot of people would want to think, oh geez, shouldn't you be using a line counter to know exactly how far back you are? All I'm doing is casting it out as far as I can. I'm using a 1/4 ounce weight. Oh yeah, it's another good looking walleye. All I'm doing is casting it out though as far as I can. That's a 1/4 ounce weight there. Let's get him in here. There we go. Another dinner fish. But all I do is I hook a crawler right on a standard Lindy spinner, and I'm gonna show you this because this is the key to catching these fish. It's a 6-foot snell on this Lindy spinner, and you get it right out of the package. But all I do is I slide that 1/4 ounce weight on. You can see it down there at the rod tip. And then all I do is tie that spinner on, and that slip sinker can slide on the line, and then I just put on a night crawler and send it out. Neat thing about these Lindy spinners too is there's really nothing you got to do. It's 6 feet long. They got great bead patterns. This one here I'm using so happens to be like alewife. And now one of the things I do when I'm sitting in weedy areas like I am, I always go with brighter colors, and that's what I've done today. You know, I talk a lot about fishing natural colors, especially when I'm fishing deep, clear water where I'm maybe in a gravel type situation or a mud flat. But these fish are laying down in the weeds. So what I'm trying to do is get them to come out. So when I'm doing that, I always go to brighter colors. That makes a big, big difference. The other neat thing about this spinner, you can see, is on the back side, it's chrome. And that mirror effect gives off so much flash when a fish is chasing it from behind. Makes them come all the way up that crawler and seal the deal. Another great fish right there. Come on, hit it again, hit it again. There he is, right there. Got him. This is just the perfect day to be on the water as far as I'm concerned. There's a little bit of breeze and it's perfect along this weed bed because it's actually making every fish along here get real active. And boy, this guy, he's all tuned up back here. But you know, you get this little bit of wind along here and it's great. And the whole week looks like this. Now there's one little hitch that might happen on Friday, and that is there's a chance for some storms. But earlier when I was talking about location, here's what you got to look at. If we get those storms Friday like they're talking, all these fish are going to do is maybe drop down deeper in the weeds, okay? So a couple things. I might just speed up a little bit, go right over the tops of them still and see if I can get them. But what they may do is slide down here into this deeper water. Now, if they do that, they're not going to stay there long because they're not eating down there. So what you're going to need to do is you come up, go through this weed bed like they're going to be here. If they're not, just slide off onto that ledge that drops into deep water, work that area. And that's why I always say how important that deep water is. Eventually, those fish are going to come right back up here into this weed bed though. So all said and done, the week looks like it's lining up for great fishing. Like I say, one tough day, the rest of it looks good, and it looks like it's going to heat right back up. So this pattern is going to hold solid. And the other neat thing about this pattern is this thing holds right through August. These fish are in these weeds because they're eating. So make sure you get out into an area where the weeds are about halfway up. That makes the whole difference because you can fish it. If you're seeing weeds up by the surface, it's going to be hard to fish them. That was a great day on the water. I got some fish to clean. Hey, I've gotten a couple emails about what the table is that I use each week to clean the fish on. And I just wanted to take a second and explain it to you. This is the Lindy fish cleaning table. What's so great about it is it's a non-skid surface and it's got adjustable legs. So if my son's gonna clean our fish, we can lower it down to his level, or I can raise it up to the level that I wanna work at without getting a sore back. Most importantly, it's made right here in the USA. Take a look at it at your favorite retailer. Keys to the catch today, 2 of them. One was speed. I had to be flying. 1.5 to 1.6 miles an hour was the ticket. Second was I had to use bright colored spinners, something that really caught their attention and got them to come racing out of the weeds. Put those two together, and this is what we got. For more current and up-to-date information, check back next week. I'm John Thielen. We'll catch you on the water.